So guys, just as Ed's getting prepared here, just to let you know, Ed will be doing a performance and a demonstration, and then walking through the features of 9.5, as well as the push. When Ed is finished, there'll be a breakout session where I will lead downstairs, where you can actually get your hands on the push and actually start to create some of what Ed's showing you in your own style. Okay. So Ed, you ready?
Hello, good evening everybody. How's everyone doing today? That's good to hear. Enthusiasm, I love it. Welcome everybody, my name is Ed Rollo. I'm a DJ and a music producer, originally from Sydney, and I'm now living in Hong Kong, where I've been based for about 3 years now, with my business partner Mike over here. Mike and I are both Ableton product specialists, and basically what that means is that we're the representatives for Ableton in Hong Kong. We're not certified trainers, which is slightly different, and some of you might have questions about certification, that process, and what that all means. Feel free to come up to us and talk to us about that, because we know a little bit about it already. So, firstly, I'd like to thank Setiadi for having us here today at his studio. Thanks very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Just going to sort out this mic so I can do push stuff, Ableton stuff, and talk to you at the same time. Awesome. So a quick show of hands, guys. Who's here using Ableton already? About half the room, not everybody. Does anyone not know what Ableton is at all? Everyone pretty much knows what it is. Okay, that's good. So look, there was some pretty exciting things that came out this year with the release of the Push 2 and the 9.5 upgrade to Live 9 Suite. This is a free upgrade. Some really exciting things that were released, some really new features, and basically it was designed really to work hand in hand with the new Push controller. Are there many Push users in the audience? Even original Push users? A couple of guys? Yep. Fantastic unit, really, really good. If you've just bought one and then you saw the release of Push 2, don't get too disheartened. It's still a very nice controller. There's still a lot you can do with it. Though today we're here to talk more about the Push 2 and the amazing features that have been added to it. Basically, it was designed to be used as like an instrument. It was really kind of to not replace the software, but just to work together with the software. So I'm going to show you kind of a bit of a breakdown of what I just did there with the live performance, kind of how I arranged that. I did that all just in my bedroom, took about 2 hours, and I had my laptop like this the whole time. I produced everything just purely here. I kind of used it like an exercise to see whether I could get away with that screen, without using that screen, sorry. So just a little bit about this workshop. There's going to be a bunch of guys coming up here. We've got some live performances, probably going to be much more impressive than that. They've got all sorts of controllers here. We're going to have some talks about Max for Live as well, maybe a couple of other things, and we're going to have a breakout session at the end as well, where you can ask questions to Mike and myself and really get your hands on the controller. So look, what I'm hoping everyone will get out of today is that you'll get a little bit more knowledge in your own productions, a little bit more of an insight into the features of Live or Ableton, and also the new features, also the Push controller, and hoping that you walk away with something today. And Ableton's all about community. It's all about bringing people together. I think it's Bill who runs the Ableton user group. If you guys are not on that, definitely jump on there or go and see him afterwards. And jump on the Ableton Live user group for Indonesia, is it? Yeah, perfect. Because there'll be a wealth of knowledge there and should help you out with your own productions. I'm hoping that I'll work away with some more knowledge as well, because I'm hoping I'll learn something from you guys too. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you all, talking about your own productions, and we've always walked away learning something ourselves from these days as well. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in and start creating a new project. You'll probably notice as I do this that I won't actually be touching my computer. It's the whole idea of the Push. It's not completely there to replace the computer. You're still going to need one. You're still going to have to touch it occasionally for the final tweaks. But for that initial creative process, this just couldn't be easier on the new Push. So basically what Ableton is, it's music production software made for making predominantly electronic music-based music. However, it's not limited to that. You can do anything with it. There's a bunch of guys out there who are writing film scores on it. They're doing all sorts of crazy, glitchy things on it too, so there's really no limitations, I don't think. All right. One of the biggest kind of additions to Live 9.5 was the new Simpler device. Is anybody sampling or using the Simpler device in Ableton currently? A few guys? Yeah, okay. So just to go over that briefly, what that is, Simpler is a sampler, okay? And there is a sampler device in Ableton as well, and the difference between the two is basically that Simpler is a simple version of sampler. And that's probably confused you all. I don't know, it's a tricky kind of wording there, but I'll try and break down exactly what this new feature can do. So in my device browser here, I've just got a bunch of samples loaded up. These are just jazz and funk and all sorts of breaks. Let's have a listen to a few.
Come on down! Children growing, women producing, men go working, some do
Cool. So there's nothing special about these samples. These are accessible to anyone. They're just funk, jazz, breaks, anything that's got a bit of groove to it, really. There's one I've been particularly liking recently that I've been using. It's got a really nice break at the beginning.
You want to see it? Do you want to see it?
That nice little drum fill at the beginning and the little break section gives me something really nice I can use. The concept of sampling, I think, is really quite cool. I believe there's a couple of different methods that are most common to me. One would be the element of using sample as the key kind of feature of your track or the theme. This would be more common for guys like the hip-hop heads and everyone. They'll be using the samples and rearranging them and kind of making that the theme of their productions. For me personally, the way I like to use my samples is to use them as layers in my tunes. If any of you have problems out there when you're making music and it doesn't sound full or complete, or it might sound a little bit empty or a bit thin, any of those kind of words, I think it really comes down to layers. Layering your tunes, layering your drums, layering your synths, layering your bass lines, anything kind of thing to sort of thicken up that sound a little bit. So that's my preferred method of sampling. So I'm just going to load this guy up. And what you can see there, it's loaded into a Simpler. For guys already familiar with Live, I'm just going to do this just so you can see it a little better. There we go. This is what's called the breakout view. This has been completely redesigned, the Simpler device. So we now have a much more clearer interface. The waveforms have really been improved when you're actually looking at them, as well as a bunch of new features, which I'm just going to go into now.
You want to see?
Great. So the biggest addition they did here is they added the warping functionalities. Does everyone know what warping is in the room? Okay, not everybody. Maybe you're too shy. Look, it was basically what warping is time stretching. Ableton has a bunch of different algorithms that it uses to time stretch samples, songs, beats, everything. The functionalities are great. There's a bunch of different settings or different algorithms you can use. There's beats, textures, complex pro, repitch, tones, etc. So basically, now that warping has been enabled in Simpler, we now can time stretch our samples across the keyboard. Basically, what that means is that no matter where I play this sample, it's always going to be in time. And together, Does everyone understand what's going on there? 'Cause typically in the past, when you would bring a sample into Simpler and you play it across the board, if you played it higher, the sample would be shorter. If you played it lower, the sample would be longer. Now it doesn't matter where you play it, it's always going to be in time. And this opens up a lot of different basically ideas and things that you can do with this. We can now, especially for things like vocals, maybe synth samples as well, this enables much more cleaner playback for these things. So what I'm going to do here is just focus in on the sample and show you guys how we can use this simpler even more. I'm just bringing back my end marker. I'm going to hone in on the piece I want to use. You can zoom in, which you can't see, but you can see this happening on the push. And the endpoint back as well. Let's play this back. Okay, I'm going to bring that back even further. To about there, that's all I want to use. If I go one step further into the simpler device, I can now crop that sample, and you can see that a bit better now. So this is all this is the only part that I've actually sampled here. Awesome. Basically now what I can do is I have 3 different modes in my simpler device. I have a choice of just classic mode, which is what I'm in at the moment. I have my one-shot mode, which means that it will keep playing even when I release. Cool. Now there's one more mode, which is probably the most exciting, and this is slicing mode. And you can see my push pads have changed, and I'm not sure if you can see that there, we now have little slices throughout that sample. And what this has done cool. So I've now essentially got all the tools I need to make up my own little drum kit using the samples from the original sample. I can adjust the sensitivity on this. I'm not purely restricted just to what Ableton tells me is the right samples. Like it's looking at the transients or the changes in volume in that sample. I can adjust the sensitivity. I can delete slices very easily. Take some slices away. I can put the slices in. I can record the slices in manually if I want to. I can nudge the start position of every sample as well, or every slice. There's a huge amount of flexibility here. And you should definitely experiment with this when we do our breakout session a little bit later, because there's some really, really cool things you can do. And I'm just using this for drums, but just think about what you could do with, say, vocals, maybe like a synth line, anything. You can have a lot of fun. So I'm just going to leave this at the full sensitivity here. And what's really fantastic about this, that I can mess around with these samples, I can play them live, but what's really good about this is I would really like to sequence this. And this was something that wasn't really easily achievable in the old version of Live. You certainly didn't have this slicing capability. You'd have to chop it up manually, drag them down into drum racks and all that sorts of stuff, and then you could sequence it really easily. We can now do that very easily here. If I just hit this convert button on the side here, which is new on push 2, and it's prompting me here if I'd like to convert it to a drum rack. And I'm going to go yes. And so now you see my pads have changed. I've got my drum rack down here, and I've got my sequencer up here. And this basically controls my clip focus, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Now, for those who don't know what a drum rack is, it's basically like a drum machine. We can put all of our samples in here. We can have up to 128 samples in one drum rack, and that makes for very easy programming and sequencing. I'm going to build up a drum kit after I do this, and I'll show you a little bit more about the features of a drum rack. But for most of you, be pretty familiar with drum racks, I think, from existing live users. Cool. It's a pretty nice kick sound. I'm just going to get something going here, and let's see what happens. Great. So I'm very easily just sequencing these beats. I'll just put a hi-hat in here as well if I can find one. Perfect. So essentially what I've done now is I've taken all those slices from the sample, put them into a drum rack, and now I can sequence that. This is one very basic example of what you can do with this. But this is an incredibly powerful feature. And for guys who are used to this sampling process, I think you're really going to love it. This is going to really speed up your workflow. So basically now what I've got is I've got something I can layer. This is not going to be my final drum kit. This is just the early stages. Something to add a little bit of background noise, a bit of grit. Probably what I could do if I go a step further is EQ this, maybe take out some of the lows. I don't really need all that kind of bassy stuff in there. But what I do want is this to sort of take up some room or some space in my track and really create some textures and layers that I wouldn't normally get if I just went straight to a drum rack or a drum machine, threw in a 909 and a 909, and then, yeah. All right, so I'm just going to add another track here. I'm going to add a drum rack and load that up. And now I've just got a blank drum rack in my next MIDI channel. I just wanted to pause there for a second and just talk about Simpler and just see if there was any questions about what I just did there in that process. Any at all? Just yeah, man.
About the sequence stuff,
Yeah.
just forward about, or can you expand about?
Absolutely, yeah. This was what I'm going to go into in the next one. But basically, you can see down here, the scene is just focused on these two. And you'll see these ticking by. I can double that if I like. So I could make that twice as long. And you can now see I've got all these four. And I can select, say, this scene. And for instance, maybe I'd like to take my kick out, wherever the kick was. There it is. Or maybe change the kick pattern, something like this. Yeah. And what I can also do is I'm not limited to that. I can actually focus on just those scenes at once as well. So there's my straight beat. That's just going to keep looping around. And then I can go. That's just looping around as well. Yeah. And you can basically put these in anywhere. It's actually a really nice live performance tool, and you can jump around between your clip. And it's only within, I'm not sure if you were seeing that there, but it's all within the same MIDI clip, which is that first guy at the top there. Yeah. So if I zoom out on this, there's my two different beats, but it's all within the same MIDI clip. And jump to the next one. Yeah. And then I can throw something all the way down the bottom here as well, like I can create a completely different beat. I'll just put some hi-hats in here for now. And that's all the way at the end there, yeah? So it's all within the same clip, which is really, really powerful. And I can just jump between any one I like. Yeah, quite powerful. Any other questions? No worries. Yeah, man. How to make 3... triplets. Yeah, like triplets. So my sequence on the side here is basically determined by these parameters here. I'm on 16ths at the moment now. I do have the ability to go to 16th triplet mode as well. Yeah, cool. I love those aha moments. They're fantastic. You've got that for every parameter, so 32 triplets, 16th triplets, eighths, quarters, everything, yeah. And it will split up the bit, and the grid, sorry. You can see I'm now got 6 across the grid rather than 8. Yeah. It's pretty nice. Anything else? We'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. Don't worry about that. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go on to the drum racks. Don't worry, I'll address that definitely at the end. Awesome. So let's go back to our drum racks here. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to load up your own custom kit really quite easily. So we've just got empty cells here. So I'm going to go to my device browser. I'm going to go to my sample packs. Guys, there's nothing fancy about my sample pack. It's just I like a lot of disco music and stuff like that, so I like real drum kit sounds. But yeah, any sample pack you guys are using, get a good one. You know, do some research. It really makes all the difference. Yeah, let's turn this mic up and 2 2 2, and this down 2 2 2 2. All right, excellent. So I've just selected a kick. I'm just going to go through and build up a kit. Let's grab some claps and hats. Will do. Let's get a snare. And I'll get some hats in this last sample here. Beautiful. And maybe just a little bit of percussion. Something little blops and blips. It's nice. Put you in there. Okay, great. So just like before, I'm going to now just sequence this beat. And with the percussion, I'm going to play around with that and actually record that in live and show you how you can do that too. It doesn't have to be strictly what is based here on the simpler, or the sequencer, sorry. Okay, now I've loaded up just a few sounds there. I've got my clap and my snare hitting at the same time, like that. I actually want a little bit of separation between these guys. So what I can do is actually nudge the MIDI clip around and nudge those MIDI notes. Just allow me to demonstrate that here. When we select one of our notes, we have the different parameters come up. We've got nudge, we can change the note length, we can fine tune that, and we've also got the velocities, so we can change basically the volume of each one as well. And I'm just going to nudge all of these clap samples back a little bit. Now what that's going to do is create, for all the drummers out there, like a flam. So they're not going to hit at the same time. There's going to be a little bit of separation between them. Beautiful. To go a step further now, inside this clap, I'm also going to add a reverb to that clap because it's just sounding a little bit too dry. And I can do that all within here as well. Just go to my simpler device, and then I can add audio effects, go down to my reverb, and load that up. However, all my other drums are still dry. I've just added that reverb to the clap. And I can change all the parameters of that as well. I've selected my reverb here. I don't know if you can see that. basically we've got the drum rack, then we've got what sample it is, the simpler device, and then we've got the reverb. So now I've selected the reverb, I've got my dry wet, my decay time, size, everything. So I can mess around with that a little bit. I'm going to go one step further and actually put in some automation as well. This is quite fantastic because then it's not just the same thing happening over and over and over again. I can create a little bit of variance in this as well. So I'll need to do this with two hands, but what I'm going to do is just change the automation of the decay time on my reverb. And you can see that ticking around here as well. So that's just me. Excellent. Does that all make sense to you guys? Awesome. All right, so what I'm going to do is actually just record in some percussion now. I'm going to do this freehand. So I'm not going to be using the sequencer here. I'm just going to be jamming this out, yeah? Awesome. So that's another way you can utilize the drum racks, the sequencer, and push. It's really fantastic. If you are a good finger drummer or if you've got a bit of rhythm, this is a really fantastic feature because you can get your own kind of human element to it and it becomes really like an instrument, which is fantastic. I'll just pause there. Was there any questions about drum racks, simpler recording, the sequencer, all those things? You all good? All right. Let's move on. Okay. I'd like to now talk about the melodic step sequencer. So we've just gone over the drum step sequencer. Fantastic for putting in drums, loading up your samples and all that. What I'm going to do now is, and you can see this notepad, I'm going to explain that in a second as well, how this all works. What I'm going to go into now is what's called the melodic step sequencer. And this looks very different. It's pretty much just like a blank screen, but there is a little bit going on here. So what I'm going to do is just bring up a synthesizer, and I'm just going to load a bass sound into it. So add device. I'm going to use a Max for Live device, but I know we've got a bit of an intro to Max for Live coming up soon. Yes, so I won't talk too much about that yet. I'm just going to load up a preset sound. I'll go through some of these sounds. Yeah, okay, let's bring that down a bit, eh? Okay, cool. This is a new synthesizer that was added to 9.5 in the Essential Max for Live pack. It's fantastic, it's free. Definitely for all the Max for Live non-users, definitely go in there, download it, but I'll leave the Max for Live talk for, I've forgotten your name, sorry. Iman. Okay, perfect. So I've just loaded up a synth. If I go back to my note view here, I want to lay down some chords, which I'm going to do in a second. I'm going to explain how this all works. But for now, what I'm going to do is just use the melodic step sequencer. And what this does is basically, when I create a MIDI clip, I can now see in real time all the different subdivisions of my clip. Whether it's 16ths, eighth notes, quarter notes, in triplets, whatever it is, works just the same as the drum sequencer, however it's for melodies. So I'll just get a clip going here. And you can see that ticking by here. I'll put in some notes so you guys can see what's going on. going to solo this for a second. Okay. Now this might take a little bit of time to get your head around what's going on here. Basically, we're just looking at one bar, and I've got my first lot of eighth notes here, and my second lot of eighth notes here. And that's controlled. This is all my clip parameters up the top here. I can choose between what I'm looking at, just like we did with the drum in this view, just like we did here. That's up the top here. So you can see this as this goes by. First lot of 8 notes, second lot. So if I just look at my first scene, thanks mate, I can start messing around with some ideas. I'm just going to delete these other notes, start on the first scene. Let's try some. What I'm going to do here is actually enable my scales mode and actually choose a different scale. At the moment, I'm just in C major, which is the default. I'm going to just change that to C minor. And I'll talk a little bit about the scales and chords in my next track. Okay, so basically I've got my root note down the bottom here, which is highlighted a little bit brighter. I think you can see that. And then the blue is the notes that I'm putting in here. And then I've got my basically my 7 notes, which are in my scale of C minor. And then I can go up to my next octave. And this is my next set of 7 notes as well. So if I'll just put some higher notes in here as well, just to see, I'll put some higher octaves. I'll just get rid of this guy. Let's put some. My second octave. My first octave. So this is a really fantastic tool for just getting a bit creative. And if you're blocked for ideas, open up the melodic step sequencer, just start putting in random notes, just like what I'm doing here. You'll probably come up with something pretty fast. And just like we were talking about before, we can double this loop. We can make it longer. We can change the scenes as well. So we can select between where the focus is in that MIDI clip. Does that all make sense to you guys? Yeah, cool. This is a fantastic tool. I've been using this more and more. I'd be very kind of traditional in the past where I would just be in note mode and I'd be just playing the notes in and recording that. Which probably a lot of people are doing. I don't see many people using the melodic step sequencer. And I can just show you on here, you still get the same. Cool. So I could play that in live if I wanted to. And I could record that as well. So I'm going to show you how you can do that using some chords in the next track. But that melodic step sequencer just sits in the background there. It's a fantastic tool. Really check it out. Okay, so I'm going to lay down some chords now. I want to talk a bit about the pads, more about the scales, how we can really kind of, I guess, increase the workflow here, because this is maybe a point where people get stuck when you're first trying to like lay down that idea, come up with some chords, a nice progression or something like that. It can be quite a daunting task. We all know what it's like to just look at a blank canvas and not know where to start. This is a really good place to start, and it's generally where I come up with a lot of my ideas, just messing around in the scales mode. Yeah, there's all sorts of little tricks I'm going to show you, which is really cool. So I'm just going to grab a simple key sound, actually. It's great. It's called Faceplant. What a great name. Okay. So this is just a very simple preset sound. Everyone's able to use this patch. It's just free in Live 9. Okay, so the way these pads are laid out, they're kind of laid out in a grid of 3, and it's what you should get used to. It's a bit of a different way of thinking, because I know typically things are generally based in 4s, the drum racks are in 4s. You know, we always think in 4/4 typically when we're making electronic music. But this is basically a grid of 3. And if you watch when I'm playing the chords here, I'm always making a kind of a pattern like this with my fingers. I'm left-handed, so it's going to be slightly different for some of you, probably this way. And what we're trying to do is just make triads. So we've got our root notes indicated by the yellow or whatever color happens to be of your track. These are our root notes, and you can see the repeated notes as well. They come up in green, what's actually being played. So if I hold down 2 notes, it's repeated over there. So that's my minor third in there, because I'm in a minor scale at the moment. I'll just go back to major, just so everyone can relate. Yeah, there's my major third. And to complete the triad is my 5th. Cool. Now this might take some getting used to, actually knowing what you're playing. Sometimes, or most of the time, I don't really know the exact chords I'm playing. I'm just kind of experimenting through the scale, making different formations with my fingers, and sometimes adding a few more notes, maybe 4, 5, depending what it is. You can get some really nice 7th notes out of this as well. So this is really, really awesome for just experimenting. I'm going to go back into my scales mode and go into minor. Now I've got all the different modes here, and for guys who have learned a bit of music theory, you know about all the different modes, you know, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, all that stuff, so that everything is available here to you. It's minor, Dorian, and you know, they're all just different interpretations of a major scale, really, but let's go back to minor. No, that was major. Minor. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so what I basically do here is I just mess around with just making these triads and just moving across the board. Some things are going to sound better than others, but generally it's going to sound pretty good. Excellent. So that's just using that basic formation, but maybe you want to get a little bit more creative and start doing some other things. And I'll need 2 hands for this. So I like a lot of that sort of soulful stuff. That's typically what I generally start playing. But this is not limited to that. You guys just jump in there, have a little mess around. You'll come up with some really cool things. So cool, what I'm going to do here is just create a 4-bar loop and just jam out some ideas. So with my fixed length on the side here of the push, if I hold that down, I can select how many bars I want to record. It might be hard to see there, but it's now selected on 4 bars. I can choose 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Very easily. I'm just going to do 4 bars. And now let's get this clip going, and also hear it with my track. Okay, so fixed length wasn't enabled. I'll just undo that. Actually have to turn it on. Okay, so that's just how you can very easily just lay down some chords. I think what I was kind of playing with the chords and my bass line didn't really go together, so I just kept it quite simple there. We can go in and do everything to this. We can add effects to this sound. We can tweak all the parameters of the sound. We can change the sound very easily if we wanted to. We could just add a device. Maybe I could just grab like an analog synth, chuck that in there. Yeah, so very flexible on what we can do. Didn't disrupt that too much. Okay, fantastic. Any questions there about the pads? Yeah, absolutely. Does it work with Massive? Yeah, we all want to know that. Don't worry, man. We get it every single time without fail. Look, yes, I'll bring up a VST. I don't actually own a copy of Massive myself, but let's just go back into our browser. Go down to plugins here. Is there any Zebra users in the house? You guys heard of Zebra? The U-He effect, yeah? Cool, couple of guys, including Mike. It's great. Awesome. Look, this is very cool. I think this is kind of, maybe one of Massive's competitors in a way. Not many people use it, but I think it's a fantastic plugin. Now look, with using VSTs with push, yes, you can use them. When you load them up, you can use them straight away. However, the parameter interface hasn't been mapped yet. And this is, I think, for devices with more than 128 parameters. They won't actually come up in the push. I think this is something they're working on very hard. However, we can go in there and we can map our own custom settings, and we can save that as a default. I've got a couple of here, which is just like the cutoff and the resonance. Which is just something I've saved as my preset. And all that takes is just going into whatever patch you're using or whatever you'd like to keep it mapped to. Selecting the device, going down to our configure settings, and we can just add whatever we want in here. So let's add maybe drive, and let's maybe something with the envelope, the decay. Awesome. So now you can see I've got my drive and decay have just popped up here, and I can right click on that and go save as default configuration. Yes, cool. And so now if I delete Zebra and just add that back in again, plugins, instruments, Zebra, boom. I've got my 4 parameters mapped there, which is, you know, maybe your typical ones that you're using all the time. You know, your wobble effect and all that. Okay. Yeah, so yes, this is far better than push 1. You know, you couldn't do a lot of this in the existing push. There are ways, but this is much easier. It's really nice, the display here. It's very clear, and yeah, you can just set that as your default kind of parameter for massive and silent and yeah. Sausage fattener and stuff. Yeah, I know what you guys are using, don't worry. Okay, awesome. Any other questions, yeah? The differences between... Make your own scale. Oh, that's an interesting one. As in like saving a scale as a preset. Ooh, that I'm not sure about. We can... The biggest thing I could probably tell you is that you can go into chromatic mode here. So this is where it splits it up like a normal, basically normal keyboard. Yeah, so that's a chromatic keyboard. Saving your own scale, I honestly don't know, but it's something I'd like to look into, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's some things you can do with the MIDI device or the MIDI effect scales where you might be able to sort of customize a little bit. Have you delved into the MIDI effects at all? Not Max for Live, just normal Ableton. I'll just show you quickly. If we go down to MIDI effects, we have scales in here. So you could load up your scale effect there. And you can actually tweak around the notes and filter what actually comes through. So if you played around with that, you might come up with something, and you could save that as your own custom scale, yeah. And then save it, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Basically all the devices, you can save them as custom effects racks and all sorts of things. Yeah, the MIDI effects that a lot of people overlook in live, extremely powerful. Things like the chord effect, which is great. I'll just get rid of scale. So say you're not some amazing keyboardist and you don't know how to do chords and things like that, don't worry, you're not alone. It's MIDI effects, chord generator. There's a few presets we can look at, but I'm just going to go with just the default, which gives you can sort of see that there. Now I'm just playing one note. I'm going to shift this up semitones. Now there's limitations to this because it's the same chord wherever you are on the board. This is something that I would like to see from another update in Live 9 is like a chord set. There's a few devices out there like the Schwarzenegger and things. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but it kind of has like suggested chords. This is something that other software developers have created, and I would really like to see that. I think it's a really simple kind of concept of just having suggested chords across the board. And we've got 6 parameters here we can tweak. We can keep adding notes to this. Let's add something like an 15. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Definitely have a mess around with that. There is also the arpeggiator function too. Was something I was going to show you next. Before I do that, any other questions? Yeah, there was a question about push 1 and push 2. What are the differences? Which is, I think, a pretty important thing to cover. Biggest difference, I think, from existing push users will notice is the device browser. This is fantastic. We can now very easily at our fingertips, besides the stuff I've wanted to show you up there, I haven't had to touch my laptop at all with any of this. I don't really need to. I can work all within the browser. The new screen, which enables that. It has made the buttons a fraction smaller. They've had to sort of compress everything a little bit. But the pads are so much nicer now. They're just much nicer to play. The feeling of them, the responsiveness, they're really, really awesome. Yeah, we've got these mute, solo, and stop clip buttons on the side here. This is fantastic for like live performance. We can now, in our track, sorry, where am I going? We can just solo different elements. And we can mute different elements as well. This is really fantastic. I think before I push one, we kind of had the two lines of buttons here. I always found it a little bit hard to navigate around that, know exactly what I was doing, if I was arming or soloing, or it was always a little bit, depending on what mode you're in. Now it's quite clear. You're muting this track, you're soloing this track. It's very easy. We also have the convert button, which I think, which is what I told you about with converting simpler into a drum rack. This also works for like audio clips as well. If you just drag an audio clip straight into live, which I think is going to be available in another update. I think it's in the beta at the moment, but at the moment you can't just add an audio clip to the session view, but it's coming, which is really awesome. You can grab that audio clip and go convert that. It'll convert it to a simpler. I've tried to just keep converting, and then you start getting into some crazy stuff where if you just hit convert, they'll then ask you if you want to convert it to a MIDI, all sorts of stuff, which is quite cool. So that was a very good addition. The add device, add track, this browser. The whole physical element of it has changed as well. Then they've dropped Akai. They're not developing it with them anymore. It's purely designed just by Ableton. So although it looks quite similar, it's very different. Flush buttons and things, and yeah, it's nice. Yeah, definitely. You also get these pulsating LEDs, which is really nice. So you can kind of tell what's enabled. Things like I've got accent on here, which means that every time I hit it, it's the same velocity. I've also got the repeat functionality here. If I've got that enabled, it means my notes are going to play back. Yeah. And I can do subdivisions of that, which is quite cool. So those pulsating LEDs is really nice to see what's actually enabled on my push. But that's pretty much the main kind of additions, I think. The biggest selling point for me really is this device browser and the LED screen. For all my devices, it's very easy to navigate where I am within the drum racks. What devices I've got added onto that, effects. I can tweak everything on there. I can change the hierarchy of effects. I think we added some to the drum racks. If I add a couple more audio effects, I'll just grab some random ones. Just grab auto filter. And I'll grab another one as well. I'll grab, say, some chorus. Load that in there as well. You can see them coming up there. I can change chorus before auto filter as well. That's just switched around the hierarchy of them. That's all within the drum rack. I could take chorus out of the drum rack completely if I wanted to. So now it's over the entire drum rack and it's affecting everything. It's really, really quite cool. You really don't have to go there, touch this at all. I just wanted to do one more demonstration, and then I think we better move on because we're probably running out of time. I do need a volunteer. Anyone like to come up? Any singers in the house? Yeah? A few singers? Nobody sings? I don't believe that at all. You know who you are. And so do I. Anyway, you don't have to sing. I'm not going to get you to do anything crazy. Just say a couple words. Come on, somebody. What? No volunteers. All right, I have to do it myself. Jeez. You're going to make me do it myself. Okay. What I'm going to do is just add an audio track here. So you can see this popped up here. It's a little bit hard to see. Oh, we got a singer. Don't worry, it's just going to go on YouTube, okay? Hey. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. Come up here, mate. This guy needs to get a prize or something for coming up. Awesome. All right, I'm going to give the mic to you for a second. Two. Okay. Oh yeah, cool. You take that mic. I'll take this mic. Thanks, Mike. Just say a couple of words into the microphone for me.
Check.
Yeah, it looks like we're working. So I've just armed this track here. This has enabled all my clips now, so I can record something. What I just wanted to get you to do is say, "Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, okay." Do 2 seconds.
Hey man, what's going?
I'm not too bad. How are you? You're happy to be here today?
I'm very happy.
Very nice. You like Ableton?
Very much.
Excellent. What did you do today? Did you have a coffee this morning or have some breakfast?
Yeah, I get a breakfast and I just get a coffee today.
Excellent. Now, can you just sing Enya for me? No, just kidding. Don't worry.
Hey man, what's going?
Just working you into it, that was all. No, that's all. Give a round of applause. Thank you, guys.
I'm very happy.
Excellent.
Very much.
Okay. So I've just recorded in an audio clip there.
And I just get a coffee today.
Yeah, it's playing back. We can look at this clip. You can see here, this is the audio that we just recorded in. And what I'm going to do, this is using a new function of Live 9, is just want to convert this. So I'm going to convert, and it's asking me if I want to convert it to a simpler. So now I have a simpler device with that audio sample loaded into it. And if I go into my note view.
Hey man, what's going? Hey man, what's going?
Awesome. So I've got that sample in here. That's all I'm going to use. I'll go back here. And let's go into the simpler device and crop that. And I'm going to bring up the gain on that too. So you can see that waveform in there. That could be quite loud. Let's have a listen.
Hey man, what's going?
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to use your voice a little bit, mate, so don't get too embarrassed. But
Hey
man, what's going?
oh.
Hey man, what's going?
Hey man, what's good? Hey man, what's going?
Hey man, what's
good?
Let's just trim this a little bit here. I just want that nice little hey. It's really nice. Bring the start point in. Awesome. I'm just going to switch the loop off, so it's only going to play once. Awesome. Okay. And let's just leave that there. Let's go back. And I'm just going to add some reverb to this. And let's add a little bit of delay. Ping pong delay. Beautiful. Let's record something in. Fixed length. Let's just go 4 bars, that'll do. I have to enable fixed length. Sorry, I keep doing that. Let's just undo that. Fixed length enabled. So it's a nice little kind of creative technique you can use. You know, all he said was, "Hey man, how's it going?" You know, he didn't sing, he didn't do anything like that, but I've created a nice little chord melody kind of thing just out of his voice. And I can go further and tweak this even more. If I mess around with some of my envelopes. Maybe my pitch as well. Yeah, so we could add some distortion to this. We could change the key. We could do everything with this very, very easily now. Yeah, just straight from push, and it's just so easy to see that. Yeah, thanks, guys. Look, it's just for all you guys, if this is all a big mystery to you, believe me, it's not. This is all quite basic stuff. This is very, very easy and achievable on the new push controller. I think it's fantastic. It's now the center of my workflow in the studio as well when I'm performing as well. For the guys into the live performance, like I can see here, there's a ton of controllers up here. I do think for those live performance guys out there, you may want, you know, a little MIDI controller next to you where you have dedicated faders and some rotaries as well. Just for simple things like adjusting your mixer and doing sends and things like that. When Mike and I were in Berlin, we went to Ableton HQ, which was very cool. We were invited out there to see the first release of the push controller. This was before they did the public release in November, where they threw another event. So this was a few weeks before that. And everyone who was using it there, even the guys who were performing, they had push and they had another controller next to it. So even those guys still are using something else to accompany this. I think it's awesome. Like, it really is. But yeah, you might just want something else to accompany it. I think we've got some other presenters coming up, and we're also going to have some live performances, but I might just invite Mike up quickly. And we're just going to sort of go through a bit of a Q&A with you guys.
Check.
Kind of like the basis of what we do at Soul Passion Music, where we're a DJ and a music production school. We've been teaching there for about two and a half years. It's been running for. One of the biggest things that comes up, especially for our music producers, is basically like something that's holding you back, and something we're trying to kind of round up with this tour that we're doing is if there's any kind of brick walls that you guys are coming across with your own productions, we're here to help with that. So maybe it's after this session, maybe it's now. I'd really encourage you guys to ask us anything you like. If you're having trouble with the creative workflow, maybe if you're having trouble with coming up with ideas, just looking at a blank canvas, I can't stop using Massive, stuff like that. So any questions, guys?
We have merchandise for
Okay.
Any questions on the merchandise?
The merchant.
So ask a question, get a bag.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I'll ask a question. Can you use it with two pushes? Can Ableton handle two pushes? I know the answer, by the way. But
Of course you do. At the moment, yes, you can use Ableton with two pushes. For guys who are existing push users, this was the whole thing, that you might want another controller to kind of accompany a push. If you did have an existing push and you got a push 2, you can. At the moment, it's a little bit limiting because when you change your scene, it's going to be responsive to both pushes. So it's not quite as useful as it could be, but there's guys out there working on patches for it so that they could be isolated units.
I think that's actually in the next beta that's been tested. So the next release of Ableton, I think it's 9.51, that's coming out probably in about a month, should be able to separate those two. So if you do own a push already, a push 1, controlling your instruments, your pad sounds, even your step sequencer, could be great to use on that. And then you can use the screen on push 2 to kind of maybe control extra parameters or to be able to kind of control your mix and your volumes. Sorry, can you do that with a launchpad? You can, actually. You can. That's a very good point. Yes, you can.
Yeah, the guys in Berlin were using I think the launch control to accompany their push. So yeah, I guess they work quite well with the Novation stuff. Any other questions? Cool, no problems. Look, I might invite the guys to back up here to sort of talk through what else is happening today. I think there's going to be a coffee break pretty soon.
Yeah, 1, 2.
Okay, so are you done with the workshop or is there any more question? Ada pertanyaan nggak?
Yeah.
Ya, dapat ini loh goodie bag nih jarang-jarang nih. Ada? Oh.
How you using Ableton Push on arrangement view to calculate all of the sleeves, and can you automate the arrangement automations?
Yeah, absolutely. I was messing around with this last night, actually. I'm just going to create this. I can't find my mouse. There it is. Yeah, so arrangement view, which probably is a little bit more common for a lot of people. Yeah, absolutely. So, just going to just solo this track. Sorry, yeah, so this is back in session view. Stop these guys. Yeah, so we can very easily just record something in. If we wanted to go a step further and record some automation, maybe I could the filter, for instance. I'm going to leave a metronome on so I can get some timing happening as well. So you can see it's recorded in my automation there as well. Oh, the filter.
Just going to switch off the...
Yeah, boom.
I come from a outboard gear kind of background when I produce, and I find the ability to kind of twist knobs and turn it very, very quickly a really good way to get that natural kind of feel. Trying to do that, mouse clicks, as you can imagine, be quite painful, right? And you know that speed up in your workflow, I think, is what push really kind of comes quickly. Particularly the fact that a lot of the automation presets and patches are already kind of there already, so you can really just go straight to it without having to kind of map anything.
Anyone else, guys? Get a free bag. There you go.
Yep.
Talking about audio mixing and gain staging, can you see the pick meter on push screen, or we have to see on laptop screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Is this between your devices? Are you talking about, or are they just?
When I do live performance,
Yep.
can I see the pick meter for each track?
Yep. So it's a new feature in 9.5 where you can see the RMS and you can see the peak. So if you just want to fire off a...
Yeah, I'll get everything going here. It's good launch for these guys.
So it's a little bit difficult to see, but this kind of light green is your peak. And this is here we are. And just here is your RMS. So you can see it on the push, and it becomes quite powerful. If you hit the master, you can get a look on your master view as well. Okay, so you should be able to see that on, if we just turn screens. And so if you don't have push, you still can see the metering there. So in the mixdown process, I find this is really kind of powerful. You can see where your clipping's going to be, and you can kind of mix that down without having to necessarily limit all your channels. Again, this is something that's new in 9.5. If you have Ableton 9, it's a free upgrade. Definitely start upgrading, right? It's a good question. Good question.
Anybody else, guys? Yeah, man. yeah, sure. yeah,
That
awesome.
pump going, right?
Look, I've messed around with this a little bit. You can, I would like to see this happen soon. You can add the compressor. You can activate your sidechain. You just can't select an input yet. So that is going to have to be done on the laptop. But yes.
Yeah, so you can still do it.
Can't strictly be done from the push, but yeah, it can be done.
Maybe just quickly demonstrate with the...
Okay, so if I'll just create a new clip here. Volume back up. So what's going on here? Okay, I'm just going to record a new clip. Just delete that one. And let's go, 4 bars. And I'm just going to do something nice and stretched out so we can hear that sidechain effect. Okay, so I can go into my device browser. I can add a compressor. I've got all my parameters here. I can change the threshold, my ratio, everything. So I can bring the threshold down. If I go into the compressor, I've got my sidechain section. And I can turn the sidechain on. Unfortunately, that's as far as I can go. So I can't actually select my input. I have to go into here and select my drum rack, and then select, I guess, my kick. That's what I'm going to want. Main. Sorry. I had the wrong clip playing. This guy, this one. There we go. So we can hear that sidechain effect happening now. However, yeah, I can switch on the sidechain, I can bring my threshold down, I can tweak every parameter, I just can't select what I want to sidechain from. So look, this might be another addition, a little update or something like that where you can actually browse through. I think that's the limitation though, is you can't browse through all those different parameters just yet. Yeah. Anybody else? No problems. Look, we might throw it back to the moderators here. And thanks very much, guys. We're going to be hanging around here for a while. We're going to grab some coffee. There's going to be some demonstrations, some more talks about some extended features in live, which is Max for Live. Yeah, cool.
So thank you, Ed and Mike. Are there going any other workshop from you?
Say again, sorry?
Is there going any other workshop
There may be a tractor workshop tomorrow, is that right? Yep. Mike here is a tractor product specialist. So of all the DJs out there, or if you've got some DJ friends, definitely come down. I think tomorrow we're going to be doing it similar timings, maybe a little bit earlier.
2 o'clock?
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Yeah.
Probably for that, I guess, workshop masterclass, I will be incorporating some of Ableton. So how you might be able to use Ableton Push 2 with your tractor DJ sets. I think that would be appropriate. Also be there for anything that is kind of masterclass related, MIDI mapping, advanced MIDI mapping, things like that.
Oke, cool. Thank you. Oke, selanjutnya sebelum lanjut ke Iman Fatah yang bakal ngejelasin Max for Life, kita mau ada bagi-bagi merchandise dulu. Caranya gampang banget. Caranya cukup maju ke depan dan perkenalkan diri kalian.
Sebetulnya ada cara simpel lagi sih guys.
Ada cara simpel
Mungkin
ya?
teman-teman tadi bener kata Mike sama Ed, too
Gimana?
shy, terlalu malu-malu.
Ya,
di sini,
terlalu
ya
malu-malu
kan?
itu saya.
Sebenarnya sih sebelum kita melihat Imam Fatah di depan gitu kan, berarti teman-teman kayaknya ada yang belum tahu atau gimana gitu kan ya. Kita harus memberitahu dulu ke teman-teman ini siapa sih Imam Fatah sebelumnya gitu kan. Sebenarnya itu siapa sih dia? Nah, jadi tuh kalau teman-teman mau tahu, jadi ada namanya di Ableton itu Max for Life. Nah, si Mas Imam Fatah ini satu-satunya di Indonesia yang memiliki certified dari mana Mas? Tuh kan Udemy, enggak gue sengaja biar ada TikTok di situ kan. Jadi dari Udemy, jadi kalau teman-teman pengen tahu satu-satunya orang di Indonesia yang mendapatkan sertifikat dari Udemy mengenai Max for Life ya Mas Imam Fatah. Dan dari 1000 project yang udah dibuat 1000 project ya Mas ya, Max for Life.
Kayaknya 10.000 deh.
1000. Itu 2 Mas Imam sudah membuat juga ya projectnya ya. Jadi ya bayangin lah, ini benar-benar bisa menjadi sebuah apa guys? Sebuah motivasi kita lah buat menjadi temannya Mas Imam gitu. Tepuk tangan udah buat prestasinya Mas Imam loh. Oke deh, sekarang berhubung kita tadi mau melanjutkan perkenalan guys. Ini gue punya trik bagus nih guys.
Gimana?
Beberapa kali pertemuan di sini kan kita pasti memperhatikan mana yang sering datang, mana yang baru-baru nih.
Benar,
Nah kira-kira
benar.
gini aja guys. Kita bikin patokan, kira-kira kita langsung samperin kalau misalnya nggak mau
Kita bawa ke depan.
kita bawa ke depannya langsung.
Iya,
Buat
benar,
perkenalan
benar.
aja biar akrab suasananya ya kan.
Benar.
Kapan lagi kan.
Oke,
Nah
oke.
tadi gue udah berbincang oleh beberapa teman-teman ya. Nanti ada yang baru datang, terus ada yang baru mau mulai produce atau enggak baru mau tahu Ableton itu apa. Ini momen yang tepat banget buat mereka datang ke sini.
Oh iya, benar.
Karena kita beberapa kali workshop, mungkin lokal ya nggak kalah sih. Tapi beruntung banget karena pembicaranya kali ini adalah Mike dan juga Ed.
Ya.
Dari Hong Kong, impor. Ya kan? Langsung beruntung dengan segala ilmunya yang ada. Nah gue mau ngobrol-ngobrol sama teman satu ini nih. Apa Giski dulu yang mau narik?
Lo dulu deh, boleh deh.
Gue dulu ya. Oke. Jadi ini saya sudah menangkap satu orang. Oke, perkenalan dulu dengan Mas siapa di sini?
Iki.
Oke, Iki. Iki sebelumnya sudah menggunakan Ableton, Iki?
Pernah.
Pernah. Software yang digunakan untuk membuat lagu apa nih sebelumnya?
Sebelumnya FL Studio 8.
FL Studio 8. Kira-kira berarti kan udah sering ngeliat kayak Ableton, pernah menggunakan Ableton juga ya. Kira-kira fitur apa sih yang bikin kagum lo walaupun lo masih memakai software lain gitu?
Yang pertama kali paling penting dari Ableton adalah warping. Sebenarnya menurut gue itu sih, warping, dan dia bisa ganti time signature dari warping. Terus ada scale MIDI effect. Dan sekarang tadi karena ada push, dia ada punya ability untuk kayak slice hex gitu untuk bikin every pattern yang tadinya loops jadi single shots gitu. Menurut gue itu sih yang gue incer banget.
Luar biasa, jawabannya intelek banget ya.
Iya, mungkin dia engineering sebenarnya.
Iya,
Ya,
kayaknya
tapi
benar.
dia malu-malu, tuh shy
Too
katanya.
shy,
Oke, nah sebetulnya kira-kira tadi kan udah memperhatikan gitu kan ya. Biasanya gue cuma ngeliat kayak gini di YouTube, ya nggak? Sekarang gue bisa menyaksikannya secara langsung, bener nggak sih? Nah kalau menurut pendapat tuh tadi yang disampaikan oleh Ed dan juga Mike tuh gimana?
Yang dijelasin dan Ed dan Mike itu kalau sebenarnya kita udah nggak perlu kita masih perlu komputer tapi kita bisa akses lebih gampang dengan adanya si Ableton Push, dan kita sendiri juga lebih kreatif kali ya, lebih cepat dalam workflow bikin sih. Jadi emang ini worth it banget untuk punya Push 2.
Worth it banget ya. Nah kalau misalnya lu menurut lu worth it banget untuk, kira-kira Ableton tuh worth it banget gak sih buat kepentingan lu? Oh iya sorry, sebelumnya lu produser atau lu live?
Gue produser.
Produser ya? Nah berarti menurut lu Ableton dan Push itu worth it gak sih buat lu produce dan itu?
Yes, iya.
Yes, lu bisa dapatkan di ChandraCom hanya dengan, ya kita ntar ngomong aja ya langsung ya. Dan pokoknya itu thank you banget buat Mas Iki, silakan dikasih merchandise ya, tepuk tangan lu.
Hah? Gak apa-apa lagi.
Ya udah gak apa-apa lagi buat teman-teman
Kita
lu.
baik soalnya.
Kita balik. Nah,
Benar.
nah, Gis, gue mau lu nyarik satu orang Gis, sekarang
Oke,
Gis.
kali ini
Buat
dari-
teman-teman yang menurut lu jarang kelihatan kalau workshop.
Benar. Ini dari sudut sebelah sini nih kayaknya saya melihat wajah-wajah baru.
Oh langsung tarik Gis kalau gitu
Oke,
Gis, kita
langsung
ngobrol-ngobrol
tarik.
aja.
Yang mana ya? Ah ini aja nih.
Ah, Mas pura-pura sibuk, ayo sini Mas. Ayo Mas, kita
Mukanya
langsung
muka-
dengan
muka DJ nih.
Iya, dengan siapa Mas?
Rikat
Mas Rikat. Dari mana ya Mas?
dari IKJ.
Dari IKJ.
Oh kirain dari Hong Kong juga.
Oh
Ternyata
bukan,
dari KJ.
jauh-jauh. Nah kira-kira udah berapa kali datang ke workshop Ableton ini Mas?
Baru sekali.
Baru sekali. Nah kira-kira Mas datang pasti kan punya, apa sih punya planning gitu kan?
Ekspektasi gitu ya, apa
Ekspektasinya
yang mau
apa
dilihat
gitu.
gitu.
Lu mau datang ke sini ngapain gitu kan?
Ya mau nambah referensi tentang ini sih. Kayak digital audio workstation, terutama Ableton kan ini. Kayak Ableton belum make juga soalnya gue.
Tapi lu emang produser basically? Buat lagu atau lu performer atau lu band atau lu musisi sebagainya?
Sebelumnya performer, sekarang lagi belajar buat bikin score buat film.
Scoring film ya? Wih luar biasa. Di Ableton itu juga ada fitur buat nampilin video Mas.
Video,
Jadi kalau
benar.
misalnya lu, wah gue lagi dikaji kan sering tuh ya kan project-project apalagi SGN side job gitu kan. Nah lu langsung bisa masukin project timeline lu itu dari video lu upload ya kan. Habis itu lu scoring langsung tuh juga bisa. Dan teman-teman di sini paling udah banyak yang pakai juga
Banyak.
sih.
Iman Fatah ini salah satunya.
Ini dia salah satunya.
Scoring buat apa dulu Man ya? Film apa Man ya? Scoring dulu pernah pakai kan Ableton?
Tuh,
Ah,
bayangin semua film pakai Ableton berarti kan sesimpel itu dan sehebat itu kan. Bukan promo sih, tapi ya kenyataannya kayak gitu ya
Iya
nggak sih?
benar. Dan
Iya
bisa
nggak
dibeli di
di ChandraCom. Iya. Serius men, lu bisa beli dengan harga diskon yang gila-gilaan. Ngalahin Harbolnas lah. Di sini diskon tuh 9,999%. Oke, berarti lu ekspektasi lu nih lu pulang dari sini apa nih? Lu bakal mau siapa tahu lu mau move berubah jadi produser juga atau gimana gitu?
Mungkin.
Oh, mungkin
Harus
ya.
jadi loh.
Pokoknya tahun depan DWP lah ya. Oh set, itu doa kali siapa tahu kan? Iya gak sih? Deal dulu lah, deal. Oke, tepuk tangan dulu dong buat
kita
Rikat
tunggu
dong.
Di DWP tahun depan ya.
Oh DWP tahun depan ya,
Oke.
tapi di atas panggung. Oke, thank you Rikat. Oke deh, gimana nih? Oh masih siap-siap
Masih
gitu kan.
siap-siap. Gue mau narik satu lagi
Apa
coy.
tuh? Satu lagi, boleh.
Ini menarik orangnya
Siapa?
kayaknya. Nah, ini
Siapa?
sumpah nih.
Siapa deh? Oh iya,
Tadi gua
boleh,
liat
boleh.
Mirip artis gitu.
Oh siapa?
Benyamin.
Oh iya, ya. Gue boleh kenalan dulu nggak? Halo Mas.